A Chiefs coach could become Patrick Mahomes' worst enemy, and we're going to talk about it. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome in on this fine Friday morning. It's a Red Friday, even if we're not playing, because every day's Red Friday. Ain't that right, Michael? Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Help get this out to more people. We appreciate you being here. And right now, we're going to let you know who's powering this live stream.
This live stream is powered by BetUS. Head over to BetUS.com. Check out what they got going on. Right now, if you use the code YouTube150, you're going to get a 150% deposit match bonus. On the next two, you're going to get 125% deposit match bonuses. Those are up to $2,000, so take advantage of all the free plays that you get on those deposit matches. The site's easy to use. There's plenty of props. Go to BetUS.com. Use the promo code YouTube150. Let them know All Chiefed Up sent you their way. Steve, the Chiefs coach, could become Mahomes' worst enemy. Are we talking about Nagy? No, we're talking about Spags. Why? Because Spags has got a couple interviews today. He's actually got three, to be exact. Dan Graziano from ESPN says sources say Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo is scheduled to do his virtual head coaching interviews with the Jets, the Raiders, and the Jaguars today, Friday. And a lot of Chiefs Kingdom already knew about this. This has been rumored to go all week. But you know, this is a big important thing that I think that people should not gloss over, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about Nagy, Spags, maybe Dave Tobe. Honestly, I think Spags is the front runner to get it. If you're going on what they've done, Spags makes the most sense. If you just go by the fact that this is an offensive-driven league, I guess you could say Nagy's probably got the upper hand. Excuse me. Which one do you think's probably going to be out of here if they get an offer? Or do you think both of them, or do you think neither at the end of the day?
In a world where Steve Spagnuolo coaches the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, no.
And Mahomes must take a lot of blue chew to take him down.
Dun, dun.
Man, I don't know, dude. I don't like Spags. I don't like Spags getting out of Kansas City. But, you know, he's talked about how he'd like to try the head coaching thing again. He didn't have the greatest go-around the first time. He was an interim at New York Giants for a little bit. But I think he wants to do that thing. So, I mean, it's very possible that he could go if he gets the opportunity. I personally feel like if he could have a choice, it would probably be the New York Jets because he's closer to home there. But the Raiders, man, I don't know what they could really do besides throw a lot of money at him, because I don't know what's appealing about going to the Raiders. Maybe that if they fired their GM, you know, so maybe they could try the Borgonzi combo there with Spags. I don't know, but I just don't like it. If you think about it, the Chiefs without Spags, they still only have one Super Bowl. So it's just weird.
Yeah, you mentioned the Raiders. The Raiders are rumored to be firing their GM. They were trying to bring in Bill Belichick, and he said something about the GM, and then he's mysteriously fired. Look, I don't know if Belichick is going to leave college football and never play a snap, like coach a snap rather. I don't think he's going to be playing.
I think he's trying to secure a job for his boy there.
Well, there's something going on, but still, I think if any of these teams make an offer, I'm surprised the Saints haven't got in on this, because they like to take a lot of the Chiefs scrubs. But if anybody makes an offer, like, couldn't you just see the Raiders doing it out of spite to just break up the Chiefs?
Well, yeah.
AFC West hold, potentially. So I could see that. The Jets, I feel like the Jets are going to go in more of a offensive direction, since they had Robert Saleh, who was more of a defensive-minded guy. And then they even brought in Aaron Rodgers, and it was too late and all that. But still, they tried to pack the offense with the Devontae Adams trade and this and that. It just couldn't get over the hump, because I felt like it was more of an offensive-minded or more of a defensive-minded guy there. And that's why they got rid of him, probably prematurely. The Raiders, they just went with a defensive guy in Antonio Pierce. They may try to be switching it over to offense. And then also Doug Peterson, that was more of an offensive guy. You think maybe the Jaguars want to go in more of a defensive direction and be more smash mouth there in the AFC South? Because we know firsthand the AFC South is a brutal game, and high-flying offenses tend to be grounded in the AFC South because they play that ground and pound high school wing tee offense half the time.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Spags and I'm 60 plus years old, I would sure rather live in Jacksonville.
Maybe go to Jacksonville, right? Even though half your home games are in London.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing about it. You're right. The Raiders could be the ones that make an offer. If you think about it, they have to get competitive again in the AFC West. They're the only AFC West team that did not make the playoffs this year, and they weren't good whatsoever. And the thing is, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are top dog in the AFC West. How better to get familiar with your opponent than to hire the defensive coordinator that's been playing against Patrick Mahomes in practice for the last 6 years. Yeah. So, I mean, that could definitely be a route that they try to take there. I'm not for sure. So I think personally he would prefer the Jets, but I think if it came down between the Raiders and Jacksonville, I think Spags, has some morals about him. I think Spags is a good guy. I don't think he goes to Las Vegas and coaches the Raiders.
I think Spags will go anywhere. I think
Spags whips it out and pees on the Raiders.
I think he'll go anywhere that'll have him. This is where I think it gets a little fishy. Been doing a lot of thinking, and the first thing popped in my mind was, let's just say the Raiders were to hire Spags. Say they're the only team that offers him, and he goes. That sucks. We lose Spags, and he goes to a divisional rival, right? So that sucks. And not just any divisional rival. He goes to the Raiders. And we all hate the Raiders. But what do you think happens here? Do you think it's very possible that when he starts looking for his coaching and his staff, he could go defensive coordinator and he could go to the Chiefs and he could take a Dave Merritt with him? He could take a Joe Cullen with him.
You got to watch things like that.
And then that snowballs big time. You're not just replacing Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City. You may be replacing Joe Cullen. You may be replacing Dave Merritt. And so it becomes this snowball effect that gets a little iffy. You know what I mean? And if Nagy were to go somewhere, it's like, I don't know if he would take anybody off the Chiefs team to be his offensive coordinator. I don't think he would be, he might take a Joel Blameyer or whoever, but I wouldn't see that. I would think he would go somewhere different, but it's possible if Spags goes, Dave Merritt and Joe Cullen are now. One of them could be promoted to RDC, to be honest. But the other one that's not could go with Spags. It may be that situation, and I would love to see Dave Merritt get a shot or Joe Cullen get a shot, but come on, we can't have one or two guys going to a divisional rival. Like, we just couldn't do it.
Right, man. It's something that I think everybody should just maybe unpack after we win the Super Bowl, right? Like, we have a job to do here, and everybody's trying to steal all of our coaches.
Yeah, well, it feels like there's not, because there's been a zero shred of news come out of Kansas City this week. I don't even think they've done a presser this week.
We got a little bit.
They've done nothing, so it's almost felt like the offseason already.
Brett Veach is up to stuff. Did you know that? 28 minutes ago, Jordan Foote came out and said the Chiefs signed linebacker Sean Bradley and defensive back Jason Taylor to reserves and futures deals.
Well, that was yesterday, so.
Yeah, of course. Brett Veach never sleeps, though. I mean, he's always up to something. So while everybody else is in a lull because the Chiefs aren't playing this week, I mean, you can even tell, Mike, just by how many people are here today, or just how the excitement level's been for the last 2 weeks.
It's been bad.
There's not been any.
It's not felt like the same energized Chiefs fan base we've felt for years. For the past 2 years, this has been an odd year.
But I think everybody's kind of in a funk right now. I think it's like it's a week off, sort of. It's like being off from work. You just don't care anymore. But
this actually came off a week to 2 weeks of a lull from
but
Christmas.
Brett Veach, he's not doing that. He's getting up and figuring some stuff out. He's getting some guys lined up for futures deals. Look at him.
Yeah, well, I mean, who doesn't want to go sign Jason Taylor II? I mean, with all the Joy Taylor news or whatever her name is this week, even though there's no relation there, that's just a joke. And then also signing a linebacker that also played in the NBA is like 7 foot tall. So that's pretty cool, having Sean Bradley coming out of his retirement with the Mavs and the 76ers. So, I mean, the rest don't quit, Like, he's just – Veach is going at it right now. These reserve future deals. Didn't they pull in people last year? They pulled in was it Trey Dean? I don't even think he ever got a shot to play, and we thought that was kind of a nice little signing there in the offseason.
Was that his name, the safety that played at Florida?
For safety? Yeah.
Yeah, man. They do this kind of thing.
There was a couple
nothing
guys
out of the ordinary.
No, it's camp bodies, it's future deals, it's reserve future deals. It's not nothing that's going to come in and impact the game like immediately.
Right. If you guys are just rolling in, we appreciate you being here. Good morning. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to share that out to your friends and family. And also, if you're watching on X, make sure to repost that bad boy. Let's get some more Chiefs fans in here to talk some Chiefs football. So far, we just talked about Steve Spagnuolo getting some interviews. He's got them lined up with the Jets, with Jacksonville, with the Las Vegas Raiders. And, of course, the other day, Mike, we talked about the offensive side of the football. Matt Nagy also got some interviews lined up, one with the Jets, one with the the New Orleans Saints. So a lot of our coaches, people got their eyes on them. And then we've had a lot of Bergonzi talk, people wanting to take a look at him. So it's just, that's a price you pay being, at the top of the mountain. Am I right? I mean, if you're going to be out there and you're going to be this successful of a franchise for the last 6-7 years, I mean, you got a target on your back every week that you play, but you also got people who want what you have.
Right.
So,
do you think Dave Tobe is in any danger of being a head coach and leaving? I feel like it's very tough as a franchise to go out and grab a guy that's just a special teams kind of coach.
It is, but I think that...
I feel like your fan base would roast you hard if you come in and they're wanting like a turn, a new regime, a turn of the guard, and you go out and you grab a special teams coach. I feel like you are automatically just in the doghouse and you have zero room for anything, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't understand Dave Tobe and what he actually
Here's my
does.
thing. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, you have even Andy Reid, who has allotted him as the, reserve head coach or the
This
whatever.
Is still, like I said, in Chiefs Kingdom, we understand it. We get it.
Right, but Andy's
other
also
fan
been
bases
throwing
do
that out
not.
there. Because I think Andy got asked about a week ago about some of the guys getting interviews for head coaching jobs, and he even brought up Dave Tobe. And he's like, Dave Tobe is that guy. Like, he is him here. Like, he's my assistant
Would you trust
head coach.
Dave Tobe? If Andy stepped down tomorrow, would you be fine with Dave Tobe as named the head coach? Not just interim. I'm saying like they just named him head coach for the next 4 years, 3 years.
I'll tell you what, Michael. I think the only reason I might feel a little bit okay with Dave Tobe taking over the team is just because Andy Reid has that much faith in him and that he's been by Andy Reid for the last how many ever years. Otherwise, I'm kind of right there with you. It's like, I don't know if I want the special teams coach who I've saw do some questionable things over the last few years.
Dave Tobe's a great special teams coach, but he's had some bad judgment calls with the whole Sky Moore thing and pulling him out of position.
They've not had the greatest special teams early this year. It's I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. But then again, I'm not Andy Reid. I don't see it. And he's there every day. He has a lot of faith in him. So I think it's kind of weird that he's not getting any interview requests like the other guys, though.
I mean, I think it's the fact it's just a special teams coach. I feel like you're behind the 8 ball there, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think so. It's nothing flashy.
Did you see the New York Jets fan base reaction to Matt Nagy though being named as an interview candidate?
Who?
Matt Nagy with the Jets fan base. Did you see the Jets fan base reaction to any of that?
I did not. No.
What do you think the reaction was? Do you think they were positive? Or do you think they were negative like Chiefs fans would be? Like Chiefs fans really don't like Nagy.
I would think that it's a mixed bag, but I think they'd be more positive, actually.
From everything I was reading, it was almost on the negative side. Okay. It was almost the negative side. Yeah. A lot of people didn't like it. They kind of pigeonholed him back to his Bears days, which, by the way, I don't think he didn't do as well with Chicago as he thought, but he inherited a dumpster fire. And didn't he win Coach of the Year one year?
Yeah, I think it was his first year in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
So I don't know. I think people have weird assessments and memories of things, but I think Nagy could very much get a head coaching job. But look, Chiefs fans aren't going to like it, and I think a lot of people kind of see what the Chiefs' offensive looked like this year from around the league. And I think a lot of people attribute that to him because he's offensive coordinator. People outside of Kansas City don't really understand that Andy Reid's the call there. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of a negative connotation with Matt Nagy with New York fans. They didn't really love it. They thought it was a wasted interview.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of, casual fans and even some fans that aren't, some fans that are really into football, Matt Nagy's kind of got a bad rep for head coach just because of what happened in Chicago. So I think it's easy to get on that. It's easy to get on that bandwagon there. So that's probably what it is. Mike, we got a 2-bomb from Bernard. He says, we can't beat them, so let's steal their coaches. I mean, that's what's going to happen, especially with the Raiders. I think that's a big reason why they're wanting to look at Spags. Not only is Spags an excellent, excellent coach, and a lot of people love that guy in this industry. So I think he's highly respected, but at the same time, it's kind of exactly what Bernard's saying here. It's like, you know what? We've got to compete. We're the only team in the AFC West that can't do jack shit. We have to do something. Yeah. So let's get this dude who knows Patrick Mahomes and can give us an edge against the Chiefs, at least for the next couple of years anyway.
I mean, I feel like it's just like the Chiefs do every year. Like, Super Bowl is the ultimate game plan, but it's win games, win your division, take care of the conference championship, go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
The Raiders have to start somewhere. So they got to start with first they got to start with, let's retain some of our defensive pieces like a Max Crosby. I would think Max Crosby would love a Steve Spagnuolo.
Right. Exactly.
So, you might start with that. And maybe that draws, you can convince them that may also draw a Colin or a Merritt or maybe just better coaches to come in with his staff. Then you can convince them that, hey, Spags was an integral part of them drafting players like Jaden Hicks and some of these younger guys that have come in, Shamari Connor over the last few years that people had overlooked, and they have come in and produced. So maybe like you start to feel like maybe the defensive side of the ball gets better and better. And then, like you said, Steve, it gives you an upper hand, or not really an upper hand, but it gives you a little bit of an insight to the guy that you're gunning for in the AFC West every single year. And you've got to win the division before you can do anything. Now, Granted, the Broncos and the Chargers didn't have to win the division. They ended up in the playoffs. But still, you shoot for the division. That's your that's your first.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, so I feel like that's just if I were the Raiders, I would look to Spags before anybody, in my opinion, just for everything we've talked about. The Jags, I don't think, like, they could be going to a defensive-minded guy after Doug Peterson, but I just feel like the league in general is still more slanted to the offense. But there's still the old adage, defense wins championships, and some of the higher best defenses in the league are there every year in the finals. So it still does hold up. Good defenses still hold. That's still the metric that defines Super Bowl teams. That's why the Chiefs have been firmly winning games this year.
Hey, look at us. Look at us.
Yeah.
You could go back to Chiefs pre-Steve Spagnuolo and say they weren't doing a whole lot. Their defense always sucked. I understand that he came in around the same time Patrick Mahomes started being the starting quarterback. So it's kind of muddies the waters a little bit. But couldn't it be just as big of a role as Patrick Mahomes coming in, is that we got a good defensive coordinator that brought our defense up to a top 10, top 5 defense every year, as opposed to what we were dealing with beforehand? So, I mean, that's huge. I mean, Spags, he's been a coach for a long time, but there's not a whole lot of coaches out there that have 4 Super Bowl rings. And he's one of them. He's one of them.
He's the Mount Rushmore of defensive coordinators.
Absolutely.
He's right there.
Mike, we got a 10 bomb from P. Water. He says, not worried. We're the only team that can beat KC. Facts. We can beat Spags. I'm ready to watch the race for second place this weekend. Sure, somebody could knock us off, but I'll see it when I believe it. Let's freaking go. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the way it's kind of been for the Chiefs. They have such a good team, especially this year. There's a lot of talent, Mike. I think the Chiefs have to beat the Chiefs. I agree with P. Water. And going forward, I think it's going to stay that way for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are just in the driver's seat. The way that Brett Veach has constructed this roster, the way that these contracts are done, the way that we're basically living off the draft on defense. That's the way it is. We pay offensive guys, and then this past year we paid Chris Jones a pretty hefty sum, but other than Chris Jones, not a lot of guys on the defense are getting those big checks. Like, we've relied on developing younger talent from the draft on the defense, and it has worked out for us. Now, I know a lot of Chiefs Kingdom and a lot of, for some reason, there's a lot of hate around like Nick Bolton and things like that. But Nick Bolton has been a heck of a piece in this defense for the past 5 years. Justin Reed has been a pretty good signing. Before him, Tyrann Mathieu was a decent signing. So they've been able to sign the guys they needed to on the back end that didn't break the bank, and then they've developed players like McDuffie and just guys. They've brought them along. Leo has looked very good. You draft Mike Dana, and he's turned out well. You draft George Karlaftis. You've drafted Derek Nagy. You drafted Turk Wharton. All these guys that are playing. Like, we've pretty much drafted them and raised them in-house, so that's got to continue. Because when you have a quarterback like Mahomes, and that's a very good contract, but when you've got somebody eating up that much money on the offensive side, you've got to hit in the draft.
Right.
And so far, we've been able to do that. And that was a big thing with Mike Borgonzi. And so that one right there may hurt, too, if he was to take a job somewhere else.
Absolutely, man. But, I mean, it's Brett Veach. Not only does he have to keep the players up to par and have to keep hitting in the draft, but he's also got to keep making the right decisions along with Andy Reid on the coaching staff. So I think that's just part of it. I think that's something that you expect. When you're, like I said earlier, when you're at the top of the mountain, people are going to want what you have. People are going to see what's going on there. They're going to want a piece of that pie. It's just natural for this to happen. There's a good chance, Mike, that the Chiefs could roll in to 2025 season with all the same coaches we have right now.
Yeah,
there's a very good chance. There's also a chance that we could be looking at a totally different offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And we discussed that a little bit on the last live, what that could look like. And I think it kind of goes along with what you said. They want to keep it in-house a lot. So I think maybe you'd see some of the guys that are around right now get those opportunities. But then again, there are other guys floating around the league that are good offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. They could go a little bit outside. There's no one on the top, like off the top of my head, I can think of that's available that would be, just a great defensive coordinator for the Chiefs to pick up if Spags were to take another job. But I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there. And Andy Reid, that Andy Reid tree runs deep. So he knows a lot of guys.
There's a lot of defensive guys that come out of that tree too, like Leslie Frazier and just guys like that. So there could be an odd name, or you could promote. Like, I would be fine with a Dave Merritt ran defense. I think he's good enough, and he's deserving enough to be able to run an entire coordinator of a defense. Joe Cullen could probably step into those shoes. But again, I think one of those guys may go with Spags. Like, wouldn't that be crazy if Spags was like, look, I got a head coaching job, and one of you two guys could be next in line to get my job in KC, and the other one that don't get it, come with me, I'll make you a DC. How crazy would that be if Spags went head coach and we had two coordinators go to DCs in the same? Because that's what happens with good defenses like we've had over the past few years. You want to get your hand on some of the guys that's built that. Right. So it's not uncommon. And I know a lot of people don't think it'll be a big deal. The Chiefs will recover. These are just coaches. These are just coordinators. Don't matter. Players at the end of the day are the same. Not necessarily, dude. Because we had some very good players back in the day when we had some Greg Robinson defenses. And he was complete garbage, right? Like, it was constant.
Yep.
So, we've got great players on offense, and people think that Matt Nagy's not pulling it off. So
Bob Sutton, that guy.
Right. You've got everybody. So coaches do make a little bit of a difference. And that's why we said in the last episode, the Chiefs got to get it right. If Nagy leaves, you've got to get it right. Because, you can promote in-house, you can do whatever feels good, or you can go out. But, I don't even feel like Nagy may have been the right guy for the job for the past 2 years. There's a lot of Chief fans that's going to think that.
Well, absolutely. But I think in hindsight, that was the obvious choice. He had already been the OC before. He was a good.
Yeah, because Andy kind of the Chiefs in general just go back to the well.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Do you feel like
and how has that worked out for him?
Right, they're a very tight-knit kind of organization that'll just keep pulling.
Right, it's funny because I understand where people are coming from when they dislike Matt Nagy and they talk about the offense has stalled out in the last couple of years and everything like that. But it's very hard to throw shade at a guy that since he came back as offensive coordinator, you're 2 for 2 on Super Bowls. And you didn't have the greatest of greatest offensive players last year.
I think it's tough to compare coaches head to head, especially when you have just different roster changeover every year.
Yeah, plus
it's really
teams
tough
evolve
to do
too. Overall, like I mean, the Chiefs as a whole has evolved and went along the way that they had to go to keep winning. So I mean, sometimes it's just not as flashy. You know what I'm saying? So that could be part of it too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go in there. It's really tough.
Yeah, Mike. There's a lot of people in the chat talking about Robert Saleh. I've seen that over and over and over.
I mean, he would be a great hire as a defensive coordinator.
Right? Do you think he's not? Like, do you think that he could get another head coaching job? That's a lot. Something that we've seen over the last few years.
Yeah, I don't
you get
feel
a lot
like
of
the
these
Jets actually did him right, to be honest.
Yeah, you get a lot of these guys that get a head coaching position. They're only there for a year, 2, 3, and then it's right back to nothing. Do you think they, somebody like a Robert Saleh will get a chance, or do you think it could be one of those instances where it's like Mike Vrabel, where he has to take a year or 2 off, or something like that? There's a lot of big names out there, if you really think about it. But
yeah,
it's like, do they even fall into the category of are we going to be able to get them as a defensive coordinator? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you got to think about it. He was raised in Michigan. He's got lots of ties to Michigan. Would it surprise me if he ended up with Dan Campbell? That probably wouldn't surprise me either, because I feel like at the end of the year, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, their defensive coordinator could be getting looks.
Yeah, people are going to be picking them too.
So they'll start getting picked over as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he don't end up there. But he also has some. He's got some ties to Gary Kubiak, that coaching tree. He's got some ties to Pete Carroll's coaching tree. He's actually was fired by Doug Marrone with the Jaguars. So I don't know. Like, he doesn't really have tons and tons. He's come from more of a Shanahan, so it's more of like a Shanahan Kubiak kind of thing. It's almost like he come out of that whole Denver system there from like the 90s, and it's almost like that sort of coaching tree for Robert Saleh. So he probably doesn't think too fondly of the Chiefs. But let's be honest, I think he'll go anywhere, and it's tough to turn down a championship team offering you some money to come in and do something and continue a dynasty. So I don't think it'd be off the table, but I don't think Saleh would be on the short list for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's something. That's something to think about.
I think offensive and defensive, they would just almost promote in-house.
I really feel that way too.
Unless you had somebody like a Leslie Frazier or somebody pop up on the radar, but I mean, I'm sure he's still going to keep his job or be looked at something different.
Right. Well, as a little side quest, posted a goal up here. If we can get to 20 till super chats, one of you guys get to pick which signed jersey we're giving away on our next members only live stream, which will be probably next week. So that'd be a cool thing. So if you want anything to do with that, go ahead and help us hit that goal. If you guys are just rolling in today, we appreciate you. Do us a favor, hit that like button, help us out. Get some more people in here. Have a good time talking Chiefs football on an off week. It's a rest week for everybody. Mike, the fans are recovering along with the team, I suppose. But yeah, we've been talking about the coaching staff getting picked over, people coming after our boys, and we got much more to talk about. Mike, we're actually going to be talking about the games coming up this weekend. We got some playoff football about to start. What about it? It's pretty wild. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Do your boys a favor. Hang out. Stay here. We'll be right back.
Today's show is sponsored by Manta Sleep Mask. You got to check this out. We weren't big believers in sleep masks. I thought they were going to be too big, too hot, too bulky. But Manta Sleep Mask changed that perception for me. These sleep masks are so comfortable. You can change the cup around your eye and find a custom fit. That way the mask finds your comfortability. With these pillows around your eyes, you feel zero pressure. And with a 100% blackout technology, you can go to sleep anytime, day or night, no matter how erratic your sleep schedule is. You can go with the sound mask, the pro mask, the silk mask, or just the sleep mask. You should go check out their website by clicking the link we have provided for you in the description below and read up on which option sounds best for you. But regardless of which mask you choose, use our code ACU10 at checkout and receive a 10% discount that we have secured through Manta Sleep for you, Chiefs Kingdom. Again, go to the description, find the link, find the mask you want to try out, use code ACU10 and get yourself some of the best sleep you've ever had in preparation of this long football season.
Do it. Go down to the description, hit that link, and check out Manta Sleep. Mike, we've been talking about pretty in depth what happens if one of our coordinators get poached. What if somebody comes and hires Matt Nagy or Steve Spagnuolo, which would be a huge one. So we've talked pretty in depth about that over the last couple live streams. If you didn't get to watch the last one, make sure and go back and watch that later today. Also, if you didn't catch the beginning of this morning, you can go back and check that out as well. But Mike, let's move on to some playoff football, baby. It's starting this weekend. We got some games coming up. Don't care about the NFC. No one cares what's going on there. But there's three AFC games that we're going to be keeping our eye on pretty closely to see what the Chiefs' fate is. Who are they going to get to play when they get there to the divisional round? We talked about that just a little bit the other day, but we didn't get too far in depth. But let's just go matchup by matchup, and we'll get the chat's opinion too. We'll see what you guys think. But let's start with Buffalo and the Broncos. I think everyone thinks it's pretty easily a Buffalo win here. I say it's not going to be as easy as they think. Now, if Buffalo can put some points on the board early and open the floodgates, and it could be a long day for Denver. But if anybody can give Josh Allen fits in the playoffs, because he tends to have some trouble in the playoffs. He tends to get turnover happy, and he's not been all that turnover happy this year. So it's still in there somewhere. Do you think that the second-ranked defense in the entire league can be just what the doctor ordered to knock Mr. Josh Allen out of the playoffs early? What do you think?
I think there's a possibility, but look, the Bills are a much, much better team. Let's be completely honest. The Broncos have beat one playoff team. They're like 1-5. And I know that you're going to say, no, they've got two. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs backups. They beat the Chiefs third string. Okay.
Right.
They beat the Chiefs on a completely vanilla, didn't give a rat's ass what they were doing.
Right.
They wasn't throwing the game for the Bengals. It's just called that's what happens. They had no incentive to play that game, and they did not do it.
Right.
You can't blame them. Everybody did it. But only the Chiefs got to be the focus of the hate. Surprise, surprise. So,
yeah. Hey, just real quick, Mike, I put up a poll. Everybody, I want you to vote. I'm going to do that with all three games. That way we can get an idea what Chiefs Kingdom's thinking.
Gotcha. But yeah, look, Josh Allen, they're the second best team in football. And arguably, they're probably the first in the AFC. You could argue that they're better than the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs. Okay, I'll let you argue that. I think you're wrong, but you can argue it. So, do I think Bo Nix in his first playoff game with a mediocre 8-8 team basically is going to go in there and beat them? No, I don't. Yeah. Now, could their defense keep it close? Absolutely. If Josh Allen turns into a turnover machine, could it be close? Absolutely. But I still think they pull out a win. I just don't think they've got enough firepower to beat Buffalo.
I think it would take a meltdown of sorts for the Buffalo Bills to pull this one off, right? And the thing about it is they're playing in Orchard Park, of course, and that was a task for the Chiefs to go in there and win that thing last year. So this is going to be huge for Denver. It's going to be very, very tough for someone like Bo Nix in his rookie year to go in there and knock that out. So
exactly,
I'm with you. I think I'm leaning Buffalo here. Now, is it impossible for Denver to pull the upset? No, it's not. I think it's definitely there. You've seen flashes all year that Bo Nix and the offense can put some points on the board, and they have a very good defense. We know that, so it's not impossible. But I think it's a long shot.
Sean Payton's going to come up with a good game plan too. I don't think it's going to be enough.
I don't either. I've seen a couple people in the chat say they've picked Denver to knock them off. So that's interesting. Let me take a look at the poll. We'll keep that one up for just one more minute right now. 62%, 63% of the chat, Mike, on this poll thinks that Denver is going to beat Buffalo. I think 63%
of the chat is hoping and wishing.
Right, because of course if Denver beats
everybody's
Buffalo,
praying for it. I can't see it.
If Denver beats Buffalo, the Chiefs automatically play them.
A rookie quarterback in his first playoff game, and a wide receiver that features Lil Jordan Humphrey. You think they're going to go in there and beat the Bills at home? Look, it's possible. I'll never say never, but I give them like maybe a 20% chance at max.
I don't even know if it's 20%. I think it's more around the 10%. It's going to take
I'm hoping we're giving them a little bit of an ACU jinx.
It's going to take a monumental breakdown from Buffalo. It's going to take a monumental breakdown from Buffalo. Mike, we got a freaking gifted membership from Justin Flanders. We appreciate you, Justin.
Let's go, baby.
If you guys get that membership, make sure to thank him in the chat. Let's go, baby. Growing the ACU crew, doing the Lord's work. Mike, this poll, I'm going to go ahead and end it real quick. Let me get over here. But it looks like it's going to end at 58% Denver, which is wild. I would have never thought that. It's 50.
Wild.
I'm sorry. It ended 57% Denver, 41% Buffalo.
I think it's a lot of hoping and wishing.
You think that could be what it is, but do you really want? Like, that's the thing. Like, if you could hand pick the team that you played in the playoffs, the divisional round, would you want to pick Denver?
Yeah, 100%.
You would?
I would rather play Denver over anybody else.
Would you rather play Denver over Pittsburgh?
Maybe not Pittsburgh, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, Pittsburgh's better than Denver as a football team. Denver just squeezed it. And look, if the Dolphins would have actually won the game the other day, if Tua would have been injured yet again, they would have just won outright.
Right.
So, I mean, come on. Like, Denver just wanted to get to the playoffs. Like, they got their Super Bowl. Like, they were celebrating like they beat the Chiefs at their prime the other day over it. I just think it's a lot of hoping and wishing. I'm going to ask you this question. If you had $1,000 to your name, and if you lose this $1,000, you're going to be homeless under a bridge, and you have to bet it on that game.
You're picking Buffalo every time.
You're picking Buffalo all the time, and you have to bet every $1,000, and there's nothing different. You're not playing spreads. You're not playing nothing. You're playing who wins. That's it. You're out of your mind if you tell me 57% of the people is going to take Denver.
I don't think they would.
No, they don't. So that's what I'm saying. That's a little hoping and wishing.
Yeah, I don't. I would not put my money on that. I went ahead and started the next poll. Let's go ahead and start to the next game. Let's get to the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one taking place in Baltimore, Mike. What do you think about this one here? I know that you said the Steelers are pretty bad. You said that they're a little bit better than Denver, but I know you've been pretty down on them lately. And I think most people are because they kind of started the season hot.
Big reason.
They started the season hot, right? They had a really good record. I want to say they were like 9-1, 10-1, something like that. I don't remember. But then all of a sudden it's just downhill fast. And they were being led by Russell Wilson, which is not ideal. What do you think about it, man? Do you think that Pittsburgh has a shot at knocking off the Ravens in Baltimore? I personally think they do, just because it is a divisional game. They know each other very well. And I give the head coaching nod to the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin's a better coach than Harbaugh. And I think that he could go in there and knock them off. I think that could very well happen.
There's a chance. There's a chance. Look,
there's more of a chance than Denver over the Buffalo.
In my opinion, that's more of a chance, more than likely. But look, the Steelers started hot and they have struggled. Ever since they kind of went to Russell, it looked good for a few weeks, and then it's kind of like Russ is turning into Russ. They've allowed 347 points on defense, which is only 8th in the league, but still a lot of those have come in the past few weeks. The points scored, they're only at 380, so they're just mid. They're just completely mid, okay? They're tied for 19th in offense. That is lower tier. They're actually a 10-point underdog pretty much by PFF and by the full Vegas market, 9.5 points. Vegas is not missing this game by 9.5 points. You're out of your mind if you think Pittsburgh's got a chance. I think the Ravens win, and I think they win handily.
Well, they are down a key offensive piece with Zay Flowers.
I don't think it matters. I don't think they're going to pass the ball a lot.
They never do, right?
No, I think you're going to see a huge, huge dose of Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson's going to put it in his hands. And, he's going to go out and get first downs and chunk off yardage. And just, you tend to go with trends. Who's being hot? The Chiefs got hot at the right time. The Steelers have got ice cold at the wrong time. And I just don't think they have enough. I think it'll be an easy win for the Ravens. I think they'll win by 10+.
All right, man. Bernard with a 10 bomb says Broncos defense, man, and Nix is a 5-year college starter. He's not a regular rookie. I think he's pretty hopeful that Denver could knock off Buffalo. I think there's a possibility, Bernard. I don't know how high of a possibility, but I think there's a possibility. Like I said, I'd give it a 1 in 10 chance. I think if they played 10 games, Denver might win 1. That's really where I'm at with it.
Well, I'm just saying, look, you got a good defense. I understand it.
Yeah, they do have an excellent defense. Absolutely. Now, if
but Buffalo's strength is their offense and Josh Allen, and it is
true.
a lot different when you've got a 250-pound quarterback out there that doesn't go down very easily in the pocket. And let's be completely honest, he gets babied. So if you touch him, if Denver's defense touches anybody, they're getting flags, they're getting offensive penalties,
right.
You know, they're getting holding calls, they're getting
Buffalo
roughing the passers.
They don't have the greatest O-line. They don't have the greatest O-line. They're not bad, but they're not good. And then you also have a lot of speed on Denver's defense. I mean,
they'll try to contain them. They're a good one to get after them and keep the quarterback in the pocket. But the point is Josh Allen. I don't see the officials. They talk about the Chiefs getting calls. I don't see the league letting Denver pull this one out. This is a Josh Allen type of year. How are you going to let your MVP, your babied MVP, is going to get bounced by Bo Nix in the first round?
Hey, you never know. I don't know if he's going to win MVP. I think Lamar's going to get that one.
I think Lamar probably has better numbers across the board. So if it's a numbers game, I
really don't. I don't know if he does or not. I'm not for sure.
Right, last time I checked, he was leading in about every metric.
I think that what that game's going to come down to is, can Denver's defensive ends disrupt Josh Allen? Can they get to him? Can they make his life miserable? So I mean, I think if Nick Bonito, if he can have a big day and just stay in Josh Allen's face, then maybe that's about their only shot, just to disrupt.
We already talked about that game.
Yep.
So, Steve, why don't you tell me who's going to win the other one? You think it's Pittsburgh or you think it's the Ravens? Which one are you going to? What's the people think?
Well, before I look at what the people think, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm picking the upset in this one. I'll take Pittsburgh.
You're out of your mind.
I know they've been cold. I understand that. I know they're not playing great. But just like I said, it's a divisional game. Those games are always tight. What have they done this year in their matchup? What have they done? Do you know?
I'm not for sure. I think that it might be split. I'll look it up.
Let me look. I'm looking right now. I'm looking. Okay, so the Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers won 18-16
2 points,
on November 17th.
And the Ravens blew them out in December.
Yeah. 34-17.
And they bounced them from somewhere last year. They beat them last year on January 6th. Was that like week 18 last year?
Man, I'm going with the upset here. I don't know. I think it's more likely.
It is a big upset.
Now, it could go one of two ways. It's going to go one of two ways. It's not going to be a close Ravens win. I'll tell you that. If this game is close, the Steelers are going to take it. They're going to steal it. But if the Ravens go out and absolutely... Yeah, if the the Ravens go out and absolutely just rout these dudes, then there's nothing they can do about it. If they get in some kind of a shootout, it's over. Like the Ravens are either going to blow them out or Pittsburgh's going to win. I think that's how it's going to be.
So you still think the Ravens can win close games?
Lamar's playoff track record and the fact that, like I said, this is a divisional game. It's going to be tough, going to be grinded out. There's going to be a lot of... I mean, these guys don't like each other.
The Ravens defense is going to be just too much for Russell Wilson, in my opinion. He's going to be struggling to score 20 points, and I just don't think it's hard for Lamar and a ground and pound game with Derrick Henry to put up 21 points.
Yeah, well, 74% of the chat say the Baltimore Ravens over the Steelers.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
It's pretty wild to me, though. I have to say, guys, it's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild that
75% of you think Baltimore is going to beat Pittsburgh, but 60% of you thought that Denver is going to beat Buffalo.
Maybe Denver just is the team right now. They're the hot pick.
I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and end this one. I'm going to end this poll. Looks like
you just got so pissed. You're so pissed.
Oh, I'm not pissed. Looking at 75% Ravens. I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's Ravens, Bills, and
right?
Chiefs are the three best teams. It's just most fitting that Bills and Ravens will play to battle the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. That is just the most fitting. And if it don't happen, I think something's wrong there. Like something got upset, obviously.
All right, Mike, the last matchup this weekend in the AFC is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers and the Houston Texans. This will be taking place in Houston. Isn't it funny how that works out? 11-6 Los Angeles Chargers have to go to the 10-7 Houston
Yeah,
Texans.
they won their division.
Right, correct. But yeah, this is going to be a good game, by the way. And me personally, I'm giving the edge to the Chargers. I'm going to go with the momentum thing, like you said. Like a lot of times, that's what to look into. That's a big reason why you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are just going to get blown out and be gone, because they've been cold and ass for the last 6 weeks. But the Chargers, they've been getting better and better. Harbaugh's got that team in a place to where they are the number one defense in the entire league.
Yep. 301 points allowed. That's first.
Yeah, they are a unit when it comes to defense. And Justin Herbert has been playing a lot better and smarter than usual. He's only had 3 picks all year. So, I mean, they're being more conservative, and I think they're allowed to be more conservative because their defense is stopping teams. So I think that the Chargers, as much as I dislike them, I think they're one of the most dangerous teams in this playoffs right now, low key, just because of that defense, dude. If people want to talk about Denver's defense, they're not as good as the Chargers' defense. Might be by one spot, but they're not.
Dude, they finished 11-6. That is a very respectable record. I mean, usually that's like what the Chiefs are finishing with. 11, 12 wins, 13. They're somewhere around that mark. But the point is they're 11th in points scored with 402, and they're first in points allowed. So they're basically top 10 in points scored, and they're number 1 in defenses points allowed. So defense is 6th overall, offense is 12th overall. Their special teams is 12th overall. So they don't have a weak facet of their game. The only thing going against them, in my opinion, is Harbaugh, the experience in the playoffs, maybe a little choke job, from some of the players, such as a Herbert. We've never really seen them on like big stages like this consistently. So you don't know. And Houston does have a good defense too. Like, they're not sloppy by any means. I think they're 14th, so they're mid-tier. Their points scored is really low. I want to say like they're 20th, 19th, somewhere in that range. So they're more mid than – I'm surprised the Chargers aren't favored to win by like 6, somewhere in that range. But they've only got them favored, I want to say, by like 2.5 to 3, somewhere around the market.
Right.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be just a grinded out type of game. I don't think there might be a lot of points scored. I think the score is going to be somewhere around the, somewhere between that 15 and 21 mark, 21-20, 20-17, something like that. And if it went lower, it would surprise me. If it's a shootout, that would really surprise me. It really would. I don't think it gets to that territory.
I think the Chargers could win pretty handily, maybe. When I really think about it,
I think they beat the spread. I think they beat the spread at 2.5.
The Texans have struggled on offense a bit this year. Obviously, you've seen a step back for C.J. Stroud. Also, they lost one of their weapons in the game against the Chiefs. Tank Dell's not there anymore. I mean, he's still got Nico Collins. I mean, probably arguably the best receiver in the league this year. So, I mean, they have some pieces there. Joe Mixon's had a hell of a year running the ball. But I just don't think he's going to be effective at all against the Chargers. So I think it's going to be a long day for C.J. Stroud and company. And
so more than likely, though, this is where our matchup's coming from.
Yeah, on the flip side, you're looking at a team that's got a rising star as a wide receiver. I mean, Quentin Johnston is getting into his own. Like, he's starting to be the man.
You're going to talk about him? You're talking about Ladd McConkey?
That's the Ladd McConkey.
You're going to talk about Quentin Johnston? I thought you were just going to talk about Ladd McConkey, and you said Quentin. I thought you were joking.
No, I'm just saying he's starting to come in. The tail end of the season, Quentin Johnston has really kicked it in. Like, he's starting to come into his own.
Who would have ever thought Ladd McConkey was a good wide receiver?
Yeah, though? I don't know. Two slap nuts on YouTube. But yeah, Ladd's killing it too.
Well,
so they have.
That's no shot at Xavier Worthy, though. He's actually outperformed.
Yeah, he's been really good. He's been really good. I think he's going to continue to get better too. I think.
Yeah, we had Ladd rated a little higher, but it was right there.
Well, it's exactly what we said. Xavier Worthy, he has the potential. He has a higher ceiling, but Ladd McConkey was pro ready. He was plug and play, and that's just the truth. And it turned out that way. So, damn, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Mike, this one's not even close. 86% of people think the Chargers are taking this game.
So you guys think we're going to play the Chargers? So isn't that wild?
No, apparently everybody thinks we're playing Denver.
Well, I'm just going to say, though, look, if Denver don't pull the upset, so you guys just think we're going to have a divisional matchup no matter what. first round. I don't honestly prefer it.
No.
Because you hate to see it, but at
Plus,
the same time, they are the two.
The Chargers tend to play a little bit better in Arrowhead than they do when we play them at home. Mm-hmm. So it's just like I don't, like I said last time, man. I'm just like Travis Kelce. I don't care who they're playing.
No, it don't matter.
Nobody out there scares me. It doesn't matter. I think the Chiefs
if you
are the best
can't
team.
beat the Chargers or Denver in the first round, in our first game of the playoffs, not the first round, but the second round, right. Do you even deserve the 3-peat? Like, if you can't run through them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I don't prefer it, though. I'm right there with you. Because, like, those are two teams that are very, very familiar with the Chiefs. They just are. They've already played them twice this year.
But you just matched up with the Steelers, and you just matched up with the Texans too. So there may be.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how these playoffs have worked out. The Chiefs faced in their last 3 games 3 playoff teams. Think about that. Actually, in the last 5 games, they played 4 playoff teams. They played the Chargers, the Browns, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Donkeys.
And then they started the year doing this.
Yeah, the Ravens,
it was
the
a
Bungles.
brutal season of. That's why I always thought it was funny, like the media narratives that the Chiefs suck. They're just so disrespected, and they're not blowing teams out. They're limping through games. Yeah, well, they played playoff teams the entire year.
That's still the narrative,
and we still like you even beat Cincy in like week 2, and Cincy was right there. They're claiming that we're scared of them. We beat them in week 2. You beat the 49ers. Nobody thought the 49ers were going to fall off the face of the planet.
But
so look at all the teams that we had to, and then all the teams that were up and coming, we had them as well.
Isn't it wild, though? If you really look at it, the only team that the Chiefs really lost to was Buffalo. I mean, no one's counting this Denver game. Nobody was really playing.
And look, Buffalo was without. That was the first week they announced they didn't have Butker.
And the game was closer than it looked.
The game was closer. It come down to a 4th down. If Spags would have ran man right there and they would have blew that play up and the Chiefs would have got the ball with a minute on the clock.
The Chiefs would have won that game.
They would have went right out the other side of the field and Spencer Schrader would have kicked the field goal and they would have won that game.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. But, okay, well, that's the 3 AFC. You want to take a crack at the NFC?
Yeah, we'll go over
just
them
very quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on them. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to give a shout out. We got another Foco promo to show you guys. We got the Travis Kelce embroidered player bear right for the playoffs. They're only going to do 72 of these bad boys, and they're kind of cool. Just 72. They're a little cuddly. They're a little cute. They're a lot limited edition, okay? So go check those out. You can click the link in our description. Go over to Foco. Let them know that All Chiefed Up sent you. That bear, he's about 8 inches tall. He's pretty cool. They do these every year. So this is like a super collector thing for the playoffs. He's kind of cool. I've never seen the red bear. So I'm kind of pumped about that. I'm going to have them send me out one of those, baby. Yeah. But yeah, go check out Foco. Check out those little Travis Kelce bears, limited to 72 in the globe.
All right. Yeah, go do it. Mike, let's talk about these NFC matchups. What we got?
Let's do it. So the first game, we'll just say Commanders at Bucks. Who are you going to take there very quickly? We don't have to spend a lot of time on the NFC.
Commanders at Bucks. I think the Buccaneers take this one. They've been kind of getting a little cooling down a little bit at the end of the season here, but I'm still going to take them. I just think that Baker, he kind of plays with that. He's not scared attitude. He's going to sling the ball. I think Mike Evans is going to show up in the playoffs. They have a rookie that's been absolutely killing it in Bucky Irving. I think that they can win this one.
Bucky Irving is really good. Well, here's the thing. I think this is going to be a very, very good game. The Commanders, I mean, come on. They're led by another big rookie in Jaden Daniels. And, him and Bo Nix probably fighting it out for, rookie of the year or something, more than likely. I'm pretty sure they're going to end up giving it to Jaden Daniels probably, right? But,
oh, yeah.
Dude, Todd Bowles likes the blitz. Jaden Daniels can beat a blitz. He's got one of the highest EPAs against them. He finds hot routes. He goes to the middle of the field. He gets rid of the ball. He's very successful against it. So I don't know how much the blitz will work against them, but I will say I'll go ahead and take the Bucks too. But if the Commanders win, I would not be surprised. I think that's a very, very evenly matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, we got our boy Peter Ortiz with a 25.
Peter, baby.
Bomb, baby. Let's go, Peter. We appreciate you, buddy. He says Casey doesn't care who they have to play. Absolutely.
I don't think
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What did Travis Kelce say? Mortal Kombat style. He don't care.
He dropped a bunch of Fs, and he said, we'll play them in the Walmart parking lot.
Dropped a bunch of Fs, man.
Just a bunch of Fs.
I appreciate the support, Peter.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks a lot for that. But, yeah, dude, it doesn't matter who the Chiefs play. They got this. They got this. Just 3 wins, and you make history. Like, that's a lot of motivation. Now, pulling it off, you can be all the motivated all you want, but you still got to go out and get the job done. And there's a lot of good teams, and a lot of teams are tired of Kansas City winning every year. So it's going to be a fun one, and they definitely have their work cut out for them. Yeah, Mike, let's move on to the next matchup.
Okay, it's Packers at Eagles.
Eagles.
You'll take the Eagles. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles, too. I do think the Packers have a chance there.
Yeah, that'll be a good game.
It's another good game. It's another good game. I mean, obviously, it's playoffs. He's the best of the best. But I think the Eagles, honestly, to me, might be one of the better all-around teams all together in the NFC. So, but the Packers could pull that one off. But I'll go ahead and say Eagles, too. And then lastly, we got the Vikings at the Rams. And, of course, because of all the fires, they moved that to Monday night. So that's a good one. And Minnesota's been hot, Steve. But the Rams, a pretty good team.
I'm going to take
the Rams, too.
I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the Rams in that matchup.
Do you remember the last tragedy that they had to play for? When the Chiefs had to come to town, it turned into that giant shootout in which they refused to let the Rams lose that one. This might be another thing. Like, what's going to pump LA up, and get them out of these dark times more than the Rams beating the Vikings, who's been one of the hottest teams all year?
I just think, just legitimately, I do think the Rams will win. I think the Rams are, like I said.
I don't trust Darnold in the playoffs.
Like I said with the Chargers in the AFC, I think the Rams are that team in the NFC. Like, they're low-key, the most dangerous team over there. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams end up in the Super Bowl, to be quite honest about it.
Little L.A. boy, huh?
No, I hate
little
it.
L.A. boy?
I absolutely hate it, but that's just the truth of the matter here, man.
You say they're the best teams in football.
Mike,
these little L.A. boys out here playing some football, says Steve.
Now, actually, I'll tell you what, though.
I'm getting soft, Steve.
No, because if I'm picking a Super Bowl right now, I'm taking Chiefs-Eagles. A rematch.
Taking a hardcore rematch, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the world wants to see Lions. I think they think the Lions have a chance to beat us. I actually think that the only reason they pull for the Lions is because they believe that the Lions, when they watch them, they pass that eye test. They can put up a lot of points. And I think that they think that's the best chance of knocking the Chiefs off is the Lions. I think that's why a lot of people pick the Lions.
Yeah, I think so, too. Mike, there's been a little bit of news. They just announced that Deshaun Watson won't play the 2025 season. He ruptured his Achilles again.
Doing what? Massage?
Run into the massage parlor.
Come on. Bro, is this fake?
Mike, no, he accidentally ate one too many Blue Chews last night, and he didn't know what to do, so he took off running to the massage parlor to try to get that.
Oh, my God.
Try to get that wiener touched on that wiener dope, and he ruptured his Achilles, bro.
You think it was actually the Achilles? Maybe he ruptured his wang, and they just are too scared to say. They're like, God, just say it's an Achilles, bro.
Yeah. They're like, just say it's an Achilles.
His Achilles.
He did that thing where it's like, if it doesn't subside within 4 hours, please visit the hospital or your nearest emergency room. You think that's what actually happened?
Yeah, he was popping a Blue Chew, and he was like,
"That's right, baby. Nice and slow." Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He had the Bonersaurus going on.
So what happens here? If you're the Browns, you go with famous James?
That was the worst contract in the history
That
of
was
football.
stupid, dude.
Absolutely ignorant. That's such a Browns thing to do. Is it not?
What a mess. What a mess. Hey, Stefanski, Coach of the Year.
Over and over and over again. It's kind of ridiculous.
Disaster.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us this morning. The Chiefs, we get a little bit of a bye week. Everybody enjoy this weekend, all the matchups. Watch your football. We'll see who the Chiefs are going to be facing in the divisional round, so that'll be fun. We'll be back with a lot more content. If you didn't catch our live stream the other day, we talked about the offensive side of the ball. If Matt Nagy leaves, you can go check that out. And then today, if you missed early in the show, we talked about the defensive side of the ball if Steve Spagnuolo leaves. So you can definitely go back and watch that as well. Also, shout out BetUS for powering this live stream. Also, check out Manta Sleep down in the description. And we appreciate you guys. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.